Okay, so today we'll be talking about how you can optimize your WordPress website for speed performance. So a little bit about me. Basically, we start from a multimedia designer back in 2004, and subsequently I fall in love with the power of the web, being a WordPress user since 2008. And I'm also the winner of a Malaysia Website Award for 2015, 2017. And I'm also the jury for Malaysia Website Award for 2018 and 2019 as well. So basically, that's a brief introductory to me, okay? So today, I'll be sharing on the overview of how you need to optimize your WordPress website, not just about setting up plugins and so far and so forth. I have to give you the glimpse, the total overview of why and how WordPress actually works. So we will be starting from why, how it works, testing, hosting server, teams, and so far and so forth. And I will be covering everything, hopefully within this 30 minutes, and I'll try to answer you as much as possible. So let's get started, okay? So why optimize? Why do we need to optimize our website? Of course, the three main criteria is response, user experience, and SEO. So for response, whenever we're doing research, we're going on the web. I don't know how about you guys, but so far based on my statistic, most of the people, when they are browsing website, they are already opening 7 tabs and above. So imagine that when you are doing research, your website actually appears not just one tab, okay? Your competitor is appearing other tabs as well. So whichever website actually responds to the end consumer or the visitor, gain the added advantage. Imagine your website have to load in the next 3 to 5 seconds and above, but whereas your competitor has already loaded in the first 2 or 3 seconds. So who had the advantage? So that is the main thing that influence the user experience, the first impression level. Then we talk about the user experience. Fast experience, fast response of your website actually will reflect the quality of your website and your company organization as well. So this will actually allow people to discover more details from your website compared to your competitor. So this is highly recommended. And third thing is, Google has already announced that speed is one of the criteria in ranking yourself higher in Google search results. So actually it applies in most of the search engine. This is part of their algorithm because they want to serve the result actually which really serve fast to the searcher. So this is very important to most of the web users nowadays. So this brought us to understand how actually WordPress website works. So as a user, we start from here, we will, whenever we hit enter on the URL, we'll go to the server will tell WordPress, hey, dude, we have visitor, so bring us this page. WordPress will call PHP, MySQL to get the data and then serve all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all the coding to the user. So this entire workflow is very tedious, very slow and sluggish, and it will also increase the load of the website or the hosting, especially if you're using a shared hosting. Okay, so what we're trying to do is using caching mechanism and optimizations. We basically reduce the workload, okay, by from the user, request the server, and the server will already cache all the files and just serve everything all directly to you without going back to the whole process of requesting all the WordPress files, okay? It's the same concept as like you're going to McDonald's to grab a fast food, you know, it's fast, it's convenient, it's fast on the spot, and you don't need to request them, hey, cook me this, cook me that. You don't have to do all this tedious work to request again. So your end user will immediately be served all these files, okay? So the first thing we talk about hosting, getting the right hosting is crucial, as what Julian introduced earlier. So I think there'll be several speakers will be talking, share more about hosting. So let me bring you through the very basic shared hosting, or the basic, most of the package out there we use are shared hosting because it's the most affordable. So this is also the entry level for us to get started with a website. Then if your website have a lot of visitors, then you may consider dedicated website, web server, And if you have huge amount of contents, interaction, visitors, then you will consider cloud hosting or managed web hosting. These are the hierarchy, basically the general overview. The higher it is, the most expensive it is. But at the same time, those, the cloud hosting and managed web hosting, most of them already have server level caching mechanism, which you don't need to do that much work. Okay, so come to testing out your server, your hosting. Here are 6 of the tools that we use actually to test out the web server, your WordPress website. Okay, you can just screen grab this, but basically don't worry. All the slides that I'm sharing today, I will be uploading to my blog post. So you don't need to worry about you miss out anything, because I will compile all the stuff on my website at jlex.my. So no worries about that, okay? So now focus on the screen and I will bring you through. Okay, GeoD is one of the most highly recommended, the first thing that we recommend. Then come to page, Google page speed is a secondary, and Pingdom, web page tabs, database, Barbie. These are some alternative web page tester that actually, what do all this stuff do is actually help you to understand what are the criteria that you are missing out, that you need to focus in enhancing your website. So these tools will actually help you, give you that information. It will list down all the details to you. And tomorrow, I think we will have a speaker share about GT metrics and Google page speed as well. So no worries about that. So first of all, as what Julie mentioned just now, selecting the right theme and plugins affect the entire response and the speed of your website. So don't just try to get any simple theme, especially pirated one. It's really, really not worth taking it, because if you manage to really get those cheap or pirated plugins, it could really jeopardize your entire website. Not only that, it will also jeopardize your entire identity of your organization as well. Imagine your website has a lot of visitors. One day your website has been jeopardized and diverted to other website, or they put some bad thing on your website. It's totally not worth it, okay? So getting the right team, most of the team that you found on Team Forest, a lot of web places out there, there's a lot of people offering stunning, awesome design website team. Actually, it's good, it's cool. But problem is, you were just ordering one of the chair in the whole website, but they send you all this unnecessary stuff together. So which is why it looks cool, it's full featured, but the problem is it has a lot of bad practice. So which is why we don't really recommend it. So try to look for a better team, light, fast, and most of all, it's simple, because you have to understand what is your end consumer were looking for from you. Cool design or full user experience, which can help them to figure out or get their answers solved with your solutions. Okay, you have to understand which is the balance you have to figure out. Next is the plugins. I have worked with a lot of companies, organizations where they seek for my help. Is primarily they have installed a lot of plugins, and it jeopardizes their entire website. One of the main attraction with WordPress is, of course, the theme and the plugins. It's so powerful to a stage that a lot of people install a lot of unnecessary plugins, which is why it could jeopardize their entire WordPress hosting load, and it's going to basically slow down. Imagine if you don't cache it up, it's going to be a big issue, okay? So only use whatever plugins that you need. Don't just try to install everything and test it out. If you want to test it out, please do use a testing site or do a staging with it. Basically, just stay away from your original website, okay? With great power really come great responsibility. A lot of people don't aware about, you know, I created a website, install a bunch of cool plugins, and I increase a lot of full features. But when you're not optimized for it, it could give you a lot of unnecessary problems, because imagine your website just down when there's a lot of visitors coming to your website. You know, it's going to give you a lot of headache unnecessarily. So we don't recommend that in order to maintain your speed to response to customers' requests. So please do take note on this. So talk about cache mechanism. There's a lot of cache mechanism available free on WordPress. And here are some of them actually. And we have, okay, we talk about the most famous, these two, WP Rocket, Swift Performance. WP Rocket is basically has been the most established, and you're required to pay is at a premium price, but it's totally worth it. Just install it, you get it, everything done as well. And Swift Performance, they have free and paid. So I will be showing you how to use the Swift Performance free version, which already sufficient to solve most of your issue, okay? Then it comes to the most advanced, is a super cache, W3 total cache. They have a freemium package. And if you are using Lightspeed server, they already have their own cache mechanism, which is the Lightspeed. And Comet cache, and there's a lot of to cover, like the WP fast cache, cache enabler, that's so far and so forth. But today, I want to simplify your usage by just focus on the Swift Performance. And if you're an advanced user and you want to optimize it for the ultimatum, here are some of the second level kind of plugins, like Hummingbird Page Speed Optimizer and Auto-Optimize. Auto-Optimize is quite recommended, and I'm using it in my stacks as well. So I also recommend to a lot of users out there, because they can compile all the CSS, JavaScript, and deliver in a very minimum size. So these both stacks are very highly recommended, and it's been used by most of the high performance website out there. Okay, then talk about image file format. There's a lot of image file format that a lot of people are aware, like JPEG, PNG, GIF, SVG. There's a lot of them, but they don't aware what is the purpose and usages. So I will have to bring you through this. There's also JPEG XR, JPEG 2000, WebP, there's TIFF, Tiger, bitmap. Whatever has been crossed on the top and the bottom, please avoid for time being. And TIFF, Tiger, bitmap, they are used for print purposes. They're not for web, okay? And as for JPEG XR, WebP, JPEG 2000, these are new format, but it's not universally supported by most of the browsers right now. So just focus on using JPEG, PNG, GIF, and SVG. So this basically just a table chart to tell you what it is, but it's not really that important anymore, actually. So JPEG usages, primarily we are using it for colorful photos, even black and white. And when they are not sharp edges, means all these photos are actually blended in together, you should use JPEG. JPEG is light in weight and sufficient to do the job most of the time. So as for GIF and PNG, GIF are primarily used for animated GIF. If you went to 9gag website, you saw all these animated emoticons, like the Nyan cat. There's a lot of usage on animation nowadays, but primarily it's meant for that sole purpose. It's not that color rich, it's limited in color. Whereas for PNG, it's mainly used for transparent item like this one, the first round oval shape here. Okay, it have alpha channel compared to GIF file. GIF does have a transparent, but is not alpha channel, means the translucency of the color itself. Then comes to PNG, is also highly used on icons, solid colors, and transparent item. So those are the major usages. Okay. Then third is the SVG, scalable vector graphic, that you can generate with any vector editor like Illustrator, Vectorinator, CorelDRAW, or you name it. Basically, there's a lot of SVG, and you can download online with all these free vector files that you can easily convert into SVG. SVG basically is a undisruptive kind of file where you can zoom into very details while they are still maintain their sharpness. There's no jagged pixel, which I will about to show you later. And it's highly used on website logo, diagrams, icons, illustration. So if your website, if you're aware that there's a lot of web font icon like Font Awesome, Ionic icons, all these were basically using the same concept. So if your website don't use all these icons, because most of the web icon font, they have 10 up to thousands of icons in a single pack file, overloaded, while your website maybe just use up to 10, 20. Most are used on social media icon, WhatsApp contact, WeChat, social media. So then I would highly advise you to use Vector, okay? So if you want to optimize your existing WordPress website images, here are some of the 4 plugins that we highly recommended. They already have their own pre-built compressor, which you just install in your WordPress website, click process, and they will start to optimize it for you. So test it out and prior using it on your live website. So these are quite recommended as well. These 4 are the major, well famous, okay? If you're asking me which one to choose, actually it really depends on your server load and the types of compression that you prefer, okay? And as for offline, I also provide you this other list of the tools that we use. And you just screenshot it, but don't worry, I will upload it to my website for your convenience. And we have online and offline. Kraken.io, image compressor, EasyGIF, these are all image compressors. So most of them support JPEG and PNG. And as for GIF, animated GIF, you have to try Kraken.io and EasyGIF. These 2 are the major compressor that you can try it out. As for the offline, there are Mac, Real Mac software, Squash, JPEG Mini, PNG Gauntlet, PNG Quant. They are all available in both Windows and Mac platform, okay? So at your convenience. So I would recommend you to optimize your images prior you upload. And one more thing is the image size. Most of people, they straight upload their photos from their phones, which is, you know, with the megapixel of cameras nowadays, one photo, it costs up to 7 to 12 megabytes per photo. You don't need to upload such a high quality. So most of the website really depends on the team that you're using. Most of them are just going to take the width of 1200, means 1200 pixel width. The height is up to you, up to the ratio that required based on the photos, okay? These are the crucial things, because I notice a lot of people, they upload huge amount of images to the website and they're using in the wrong format, and which is going to jeopardize the performance overall. So try to use that, optimize it, upload it, because WordPress itself also will compress your images as well. So they have their own compression software by default, but it may be insufficient. So you have to use it and test it out. And for the SVG, this is the highly recommended so far. And because not only that SVG is so destructive nowadays, a lot of people or a lot of websites, we notice the trend is growing. A lot of people are using SVG right now because of its file size is light and it can be really undestructible, means you can zoom very deep. As you know, nowadays we have Retina, 4x Retina display. So this could actually resolve most of the diagrams, icons, graphic related. So Vector.io Nano is actually developed by local company based in Ipoh, Malaysia, if you know, because I work with them in they are basically a scalable SVG editor, web-based platform creator. So they have created a lot of crazy SVG editor and plugins as well. So right now, this is the most recommended. Why? Because they automatically remove all the malicious code in SVG, because SVG can integrate some malicious code. So we have to be careful with it. With this, it will sanitize any SVG. So you can even export it to any format. I will demo it later on if we have time. And another thing is you can also embed some fonts. Most of the fonts that actually you don't need to outline in, it will just embed it into the SVG. It will remain the same quality and lower file size. So this is major advantage. If you're using SVG, Vector Nano is the way to go. So let's get started. So allow me to share the screen to, okay, stop sharing. Okay, so this is basically the WordPress dashboard. So what we will do first is to search for Swift performance. And basically these plugins, I've been testing a lot. most of the plugin available, I've been doing testing, and I found this is the easiest way to use, and the performance is superb. They offer the paid premium plugins, but the free is sufficient to get the job done right. Okay, so just install it, activate it, and just go through the on-scroll. Basically, it will guide you. It will ask you to manual configure or use preset. I would recommend you to use a preset and scroll down to the moderate optimization, click apply, that's it. It's the easiest plugin amongst all because we have a lot of options out there, and depends how meticulous you want it to be, the performance of the website. So, but this plugin is sufficient to do a great job, okay? So every time you come back to after you configure it, you will be brought to the main dashboard. What you need to do is just one thing. Click pre-build cache. That's it. It will optimize, create. Basically, the chef will cook all the food, prepare all the food, and put it in a counter where it can be served directly. So this is the easiest way. So, okay, let me check out. This is the website that I'm doing primarily just for this testing purposes. So the speed has been optimized, and basically it's just meant for testing. This morning before optimizations, this is the results, okay? So this is the GD metrics. When we take it up, we do the test, this is the results. So the theme that I'm using right now is a very light, okay, it's known as the Hello theme, primarily used for Elementor, if you know it. So this is the lightest theme ever. So by default, get the right theme, get the right plugins is sufficient to do the job, okay? And secondly, after the Swift optimizer, this is the results. Compare again, 3.9 seconds compared to 5.5 seconds, 2.46 megabytes compared to 1.59 megabytes. And look at the requests from 46 down to 13 requests. Request is basically how much files from the server delivered to your browser. So imagine this is a final outcome. It's very simple, no need to frost, and this is a very basic things sufficient to get the job done. Okay, allow me to show you the Google page results. Okay, this morning for the first testing for the page, Google Page Insight, this is the result for mobile, 49 point, this is 68. So there's a lot of issue with the website primary. So after optimize, this is the result for the mobile. It increased up to 83 points and 98 points for the desktop. That's it. It's less than 30 minutes actually. Seriously, as long as you're doing it right, as you just follow as what the practice that I mentioned earlier, it should sufficient do the job. Okay, you don't need to hassle too much about getting it perfect. And remember one more thing, a lot of people, they are speed freak like me. I used to be a speed freak where I have to ensure everything on 100 points on Google Page Insights. You don't actually, seriously. As long as your website load within the 3 seconds, it's sufficient to do the job. So if your website targeted to local Malaysia users, then you just get a local website based in Malaysia or Singapore is sufficient because it's nearest. If you have a global audience, then you may consider use CDN or content delivery network. Then there's a lot of configuration as what shared by Julian this morning just now. So you have to understand what perspective and what are the needs and wants. You don't need to be very meticulous to get it done, okay? As for Google Page Speed, I think there'll be a speaker tomorrow. We'll be explaining more details on how you can learn all the analytics, why it have all this red color, the green color, what does it mean? Well, as long as it's in the orange color up to the green color, is more than enough. That's it. So you can test out your website before and after. Best is to take a screenshot and leave as a record before and after optimization. Okay, it is that simple. No hassle, no crazy stuff, no additional stuff. Okay, let me. Okay. So back to the website, as I mentioned earlier. So as long as you're using the right media for the right purpose, it's sufficient to do your job. Don't overly use a PNG, because a lot of people actually using this image by default initially was using PNG. It took up to 600 kilobytes. After the image compression, it down to 348. So that's half the size. It also denotes why the total page size from 2 meg down to 1.5 meg. So basically that's what actually happened. So let me introduce you to the usage of SVG. SVG are greatly used for icons, flat colors, graphics like this. Why? Because of this. Primarily, most of the images that we use are raster images where they are pixelated. As for SVG, they are actually great for graphics where it's infinite scroll. You will find it still sharp because it's a basically scalable vector graphic format. So it was designed for that purpose. So if you have a lot of illustration like this, by all means, use scalable vector. Okay, like icons, highly recommended. And for those GIF, a lot of people asking what is the use of the GIF. This is the usage, one of the usage of GIF. So yes, if you've seen this, this is highly cute. So if you want to use to create some animated image, this is one of the way to go. Okay. And another thing is about the videos. A lot of people keep asking about videos. Do you recommend to host your own video? No, by all means, if you're using shared hosting, please don't host your own video. Best is to use Vimeo, YouTube, and you just embed it into your website. That's the best practice because you can use their server, which is designed primarily for video serving, and that's it. You don't need to configure your share hosting or even your own cloud server for it. Okay, so basically that's it. If you have any question, please do share with me.
Oh, we do have questions here. Okay, so let me see. Okay, we have a question from Jackie. Now, Jackie is asking, I use rank math to solve all alt missing issues, but do not know why. Every time when I press save, it brings me to the 404 not found page.
Okay, one of the things when we're doing all this testing, right, best is to really keep your HDSS file, or you have to go to settings, go to permalinks, click save, it will refresh again, click save one more times. Then you use the private browsing or the incognito mode in Google Chrome to do the preview of it. This is crucial. Actually, most of the web designers face this issue. So which is why we don't recommend to do testing on your live website. If you want to do it, maybe in the 2 in the morning, yeah, where the traffic is lesser.
Yeah, okay. And also Jackie has another question, and the question is, what is the image resolution that you would recommend?
Highly recommend to use around 1,200 pixel. It really depends the design of your website. Like for architect, interior designer, photographer, they want to display full screen the whole image, right? So that will highly recommend to use compressor.io or all the tools I recommend just now, and you just optimize it. Then
so in terms
only you
of
upload
using
it.
that optimization app and all that, would it actually still compress the photo, or will we actually get to see the full, resolution photo for photographers, for interior designers, and all that?
It was still the same. Basically, most of the compressor I recommend just now, they are lossy and lossless. Means the quality does drop, but barely noticed by the eye. Unless you really do side-by-side comparison. But I don't think everyone will be that meticulous to compare that. So try to upload an image which is just around 1,000, 1,200, or maximum you can up to 2K, which is 1920, means the full HD resolutions.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Now our next question comes from Benjamin. Now Benjamin is asking, what is the optimal image size, like you mentioned just now, and any recommendation for the file size and resolution? I think we've been through that. So anything else you would like to add on?
Yep, sure. Most of the image that we recommend, the file size around below 200 kilobytes or below 300 kilobytes for the best. If it's in a larger image, like full screen display or widest, try to keep it around 400 kilobytes. Don't exceed 1 megabytes because most of the pages load. We highly recommend it if the entire web page size is below 3 megabytes.
Okay. All right. Let's see what else we've got. We've got another question from Jackie who says, untested with your version of WordPress, can that be used as well?
Sorry, come again? I can't see it.
I think he has a quote here, maybe something you said earlier, inverted commas, untested with your version of WordPress, can that be used as well?
My version.
Jackie, perhaps if you could elaborate a little bit more on this so we can answer your question. I think we'll move on to the next one. Our next question is, let me see, do you use CDN for images?
Not really recommended if your target audience is just local, but I did test it out for some of the websites where they have global users. It did help a little bit if you're using Cloudflare, which is free, and even JPEG by WordPress is also providing a free one. But as it's free, seriously, the performance not really that noticing. So I highly recommend you use back your existing hosting if you're serving for local audience or geographically. If you are having, massive traffic like a news portal and there's a lot of users coming in, then you may consider using Cloudflare Jetpack CDN. And you have also configure subdomain to ensure the SEO because a lot of people misconfigure it and you will have a lot of massive SEO drop. You have to take note on this. Please do check it out.
Okay. Our next question comes from Mahendran, and the question is, for a development of photography website, which picture format is it, JPEG, PNG, or SVG? And we already answered this, so I think we can move on.
Yes.
Would you be okay with that? Okay.
Yep, definitely use JPEG for photos.
Okay. Now, Roy gave us a paragraph here. Let's go through this very carefully, very slowly. This question is for a speaker who can help. There are issues with site loading and appearance for certain browsers and mobile phones as well as tablets. How do we resolve that? Either they cannot load or it appears totally out on mobile or tablet. Are there any plugins or is WordPress already catered for this?
Okay, most WordPress team already responsive down to mobile, means they're one design, they're already scaled down to the mobile devices. But there is one thing which is launched by Google, which is the AMP, Accelerated Mobile Page. So if you want to optimize the experience, but it may neglect your design, so you can try it actually. But basically, most of the team in the WordPress, it's been designed for mobile priority. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, our next question is optimization recommended for coded websites?
Of course, but for WordPress, it already have its own plugin. For custom code, highly recommend you to cache it anyway because it will reduce the server load in the first place. Then it will also increase the speed of response for the user. That's why I demoed just now the diagram, how it actually works. So basically, it speed up overall experience is nice.
All right, cool. Now, Hon Yi Chan is wondering, just now when you said about the size, when you say 1,200 pixels, do you mean the width by height?
Maximum is just the width actually. The height is up to your photos. Let's say your photos is in portrait mode, then you just don't crop it out. Just let it become the ratio. You just let the height auto flow. Okay.
Now, Pravin also has a question, and Pravin is wondering, when we insert the URL for YouTube videos, why does it show a big window on the website? And how can we just show the image of the video link?
Okay, for YouTube video, by default, WordPress already auto embed. It really depends on team though, because some team don't support the video embed. So you have to check it out, test it out. If anything not working with the team that you install, you can activate or preview with other team like the WordPress default 2020 team, which is the safest. So then maybe you will understand that perhaps the team that you're using does not support video embed features. So most of the time we do recommend you just embed the URL because WordPress will automatically embed the whole video. You just paste the URL, that's it.
All right. Our next question comes from Maya K. Now Maya is wondering, Does Jetpack or Cloudflare CDN together with caching plugins speed up the site better versus using each of those individually?
Well, it's of course you will get additional boosts, but it still come back to your audience, because if you optimize your entire website, but your audience is just for local Malaysia, for example, and the CDN actually will choose the nearest location. Let's say that they don't have the server in Malaysia, they have the server in Singapore. So you have to load from Singapore server. So slightly a little delay, noticeable delay. So if your audience is really wide globally, then use CDN. If not, you just use back your local server host, upload to it, and then optimize it. That's it.
All right, so Maya, just take note of where your audience demographics are, and I'm sure you'll be able to sort this out on your own. But thank you for your question anyway. Okay, so going back to Jackie, Jackie actually wrote another question for us. And Jackie is asking, I mean, you can see in the plugin page, some plugins state untested with your version of WordPress. So
yes,
can we use the plugin?
You have to be extremely careful with it. Do check it out. So check their support page to see, okay, some of the plugins actually, because WordPress, they are very sensitive when it comes to version control. So that's why, but some of the plugins actually been programmed and work stable since the version, let's say 5.4, but however, WordPress keep update with additional page like 5.41, 5.4, 9, and so on and so forth, right? So that has increased the number version, but the whole plugins was actually working for the WordPress. So I do recommend you test it out, check it out. Don't just listen to my words and just directly apply it. You know, you have to really test it out, because there's a lot of plugins. And secondary, your types of server that you're using Apache, Lightspeed, or Nginx, you have to test it out. You have to understand that. So testing is crucial.
All right. Well, Jackie, I hope that answers your question, and I hope you find something that works for you, because Jonath is doing his best here. Moving on, we have 2 more questions. I think we can squeeze in time for 2 more. The next one is, are there GT metrics and Google Page Speed Insights? Are Google GT metrics and Google Page Speed Insights the same? Means in generate the website speed. I'm not entirely sure if I understand this question, but Jonath, do you?
Okay, basically these two are test out the performance of your website. You will evaluate with their own algorithm, but just take it as a reference. Don't be overly anal with it, because over anal into it is not really helpful. The most important is the outcome. The final result is that you must understand that it's a guideline to help you understand your website performance better. You don't need to be meticulous, hit 100%, because 100% doesn't mean that your SEO ranking will be higher. It will just tell you, hey, dude, your website performance is good. That's it. And by the way, I'm sharing a screen just in case. I will try to do some recap as well.
Yeah.
And here are some of the points to simplify all your Q&A, just in case.
Yeah. Do you want to go through this, or should we continue on with the questions? It's up to you.
Just continue with the question.
Okay, cool. All right. So we have a question from Tan Beng Ling, and the question is, what is the best way to use SVG in WordPress, or should we use the SVG plugin?
Okay, in order to upload SVG in WordPress, you do have to install a plugin called Save SVG, because it will actually sanitize the SVG that you're using. But if you already optimize your SVG using Nano that I showed you just now, it's fine. But to upload the SVG in WordPress, you do need the Save Upload SVG, because it's a measure of security. Even Elementor that Julian demoed earlier, they have this setting where you have to allow it to upload SVG. That's it. That's all there are only 2 steps. Install plugin or click enable and save. That's troublesome.
Okay, super. We're going to squeeze in one more question, and this one comes from Roy. Now, Roy is he has given us a question, and is, are there plugins available for data management with Control Panel, or do we need to get programmers to code the backend to enable data management? For example, managing orders or membership?
Okay, data management, it really depends. If you're managing the MySQL database, there are plugins for that. For managing memberships, there are also plugins for that. No worries. both front and back end, they are operate differently.
All right. So Jonas, I think I'm going to let you go right now. Thank you so much for joining us here at WordPress 2020. It has been an absolute joy to see you present. And I think that everything you brought to the table today has definitely helped so many people who have been, some people like me who've been kind of clueless when it comes to WordPress.
If you have
thank you so
any
much.
question, just reach out to me at jlex.my, jlex.my, or you can Google up for Jonath Lee. You will find me.
Absolutely. So you can see his contact details on screen right now, guys. Thank you so much. Let's give him a virtual round of applause. Jonath, feel free to stay on and watch. Feel free to stay on and watch the rest of our speakers. And yeah, thanks. Very, very cool presentation.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.